And you go, all right, guys, well, you guys compete for all of those, and you have 5 players in the lobby playing Corki. Sure, I'm going to play Varus. It's going to be uncontested. I know I'm going to be able to 3-star it early. I know I'm going to be able to build my composition around it, and I'll at least make top 4. That is definitely something in their mind that they can be trying to plan for, and I'm all for it. It's something I want to see. I do want to be seeing these other compositions and ways in which these players are going to strategize uncontested compositions.
And we're jumping in right away into this game too. Very German heavy here. I have a Belgian player as well with Texita, a Czech representative as well in the mix. And then France, of course, pretty much always going to be in all of our lobbies because of just how populous and how representative this country is in pretty much every TFT tournament. But to start things off, Clemoulahagra has the sword on the Vlad. Vlad, of course, and mages overall, not really the most viable of comps that players do end up going for in this current patch.
Yeah, so for me, I'm not actually 100% sure, where mages fit in currently. I've been looking at it. I've been looking to even try it out in some of my own games. I'm like, is it strong early? Is it strong late? I know people were obviously going for, Mage Aoshin or Mage Asol. Where does it really fit in? Where does it find its strength, if any?
Just in the units that are strong outside of the mage comp anyway. Things like Silas, for example, because of his great tags with Whispers and Bruisers. Things like the Heimerdinger because of the trainer tag. And of course, Zoe is one of the very strong legendaries, and she does have the mage tag as well. And she's very impactful in the late game because of all her different ults and how strong they can be for any board and how splashable these units are. So it's really just the 3 mage that finds some spotlight in the current meta. Anything more than that, I think, is usually a bit of a grief. Although, Lelouch did play quite a bit of mages yesterday.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, if anybody's going to be able to make it work, it's going to be the players that you see here on screen. And of course, the other players that we're not getting to see on screen, but that are still in this tournament this weekend. And that's a nice early Dragonmancer set that we got to see there from Gluteus, who did it very, very well today, yesterday when we saw them in game. And, win streak and heavy and whatnot. But Texita we have here as well. Got a little bit of a mixed bag composition, got that early Olaf, the items on the bench are a little bit interesting, and now they have options. For me, knowing what I know, I'd say Cybernetic is probably the choice here, but I know Electrocharge is also very, very strong. Astral Orbs got buffed to now being 100% chance, but it's one of those, again, like you're saying last game, Panda, it locks you in. You got to be careful with augments that really lock you into a certain composition, because the rest of the lobby is going to know that, and if it's contested, then you're in trouble. Whereas this Cybernetic, going to be strong no matter what happens.
And yeah, pretty much a decision of Electrocharge keeps you more open to different comps. Cybernetic maybe locks you a bit more into that Olaf angle, which isn't a bad angle. We saw it didn't quite perform in the last game that we saw with just the 4 skill score without the Assassin Olaf. But in this case, you have a glove open, can be QSS, or it can be maybe Assassin's Bet on the Olaf. You have Cybernetic implants, which is going to give maybe the missing AD that Olaf got taken away in the nerfs across this patch, or across this set. And overall had a fairly strong board with a skill scrum with the Braum coming in already as well. But a strong start for Phinphinthao as well. Definitely not Varus right here, but Anivia.
Well, they've got a swift shot on the bench, It's a swift shot angle.
Could just be temporary for stage 2. Trying to stay a bit strong here.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. This is a slow ramp Varus swift shot angle. Trust me. I've seen this one before. And actually getting that win streak going on early against Dicob here. Or Dicob, not 100% sure on the pronunciation, so please forgive me. I'm sure chat can correct me as well.
We're going to see now the options here for Gluteus, a player that, as you mentioned, yesterday on game 1, the very first game that we cast in this tournament, he had a crazy 12 win streak, and really I think that set the tone for him for that day 1. Ended up qualifying to day 2. We'll see if he can do the similar thing here. I think he started off fairly well in terms of the current standings after just one game, but hoping to add on to that with his game 2 as well. And not a bad start here with the Sejuani 2-star, just a fairly strong board overall with 2 Guild and 2 Swift Shot.
Yeah, and Gluteus yesterday had such a good win streak, as you mentioned, that I had to change their name from Gluteus Maximus to Gluteus Maximum HP, because that's what they had, and that's what they still will be holding at the end of this round. Nice, easy cleanup here for Gluteus.
Surely he can't do it again. He can't go for that 12 win. I think that's just too much to ask for, Sai. Come on. 12 win streak. I don't know.
I think maybe. There's definitely a chance that it could happen, but we got 3 players that are still sitting at that 100 HP.
And Xusoo on that Cannoneer start here as well. So again, many players will be contesting this angle. In this case, for Xusoo, not the best of spots. Still has a Heimer 1, Tristana 1. Hasn't upgraded the Tom Kench. Hasn't upgraded the Shen. So really a fairly weak board. having trainer early is great, but you're missing out on a lot if you don't have that Heimer 2 or maybe that, somewhat early Justanis 2 going into Krugs, for example.
Yeah, got a decent front line with the bruises here, got the stone plate as well, but everything's 1-star, hasn't really lucked out with any early 2-stars here. Has the Vlad on the bench as a potential angle at level 5, just for kind of like strongest board angle. Could also put the center in for 2 Cannoneer, get the good trait spread, but they're going up against Gluteus maximum HP, and we'll have to see what fares here. We've got the Dragon Manta Swain
with
here.
the Shiv already.
Yes, and got the Shiv. So this with the electric charge as well is going to be huge.
I don't think we saw any Swain carry games yesterday, at least not on stream. So that's one of the comps we did definitely miss out on. That is, I think, viable for this current set. This current patch is maybe played a bit differently than it was in the past, where you can't just all in on Swain at level 6 or level 7 and still hope to do well, because dragons will be spiking around that time. There's going to be a few players that find that early Shio-Yu, early Siphon, you might be in trouble. But interested to see if Gluteus actually tries to go for a full-on Swain carry game.
Okay.
There's a Varus.
I'm looking at the stats, Panda. And
Tell me.
Kaiser yesterday played a Jade Swain composition, and it went top 4. So that is the data that I can give you. That is the only specific Swain build I can see from yesterday. I want to thank Makes and Counterfeit for putting together that document that I was able to rip that data from to make myself seem smarter. So thank you. So there you go, Panda. That's the data that I got. But that's an endgame comp, right? So early game, who knows what people went.
Kevin Parker looking very, very strong here. Doesn't really have the trainers in just yet, but opting for more of a win streak angle with just a stronger board overall. 2 stars all across. One of the strongest early game slams as well with a Sunfire Cape. And Thrill the Hunt. And also, as we saw yesterday with Ezreal, a very good augment for win streaking early if you get the right resets. Not that much DPS on the backline there, but the Sunfire Cape will help with that extra damage with all these 2-star bruisers.
Yeah, and I was speaking as well, talking about those augments, right? Speaking earlier about how anytime you have to lock into a trait-specific augment is a little bit dangerous, but at the same time, you see those Cannoneer augments and you got to take them because you know that it's going to be a good composition. You know you can kind of force it. You can have 2, maybe even 3 Corki players in a lobby, and it's still viable. But the German-on-German action here, Kevin versus Finn, and I think Kevin's going to be able to win this one out and continue that 4-win streak. The person who's still win streaking, Panda, look to your right. Where do you see those fires burning?
Gluteus and Kevin, the Germans are coming up clutch here. Makes doing some kind of voodoo magic in the analyst desk. It seems like to have these Germans performing in this game too. All 3 Germans are at top of the standings. Xusoo closely behind. Petikk as well, player we haven't talked about too much. A Czech player is in that top 4 as well. And again, I'm very curious to see if this Swain will live on to the very late stages of this game, or it's just going to be a temporary carry for now and moving on to maybe something like a Deja, maybe. I'm not sure what the Mirage variation is actually for this game.
Oh, that's a good call, actually. You know what? This is the one time, normally I'm answering the question in chat. Chat, what's Mirage this game? We actually both missed
Electric Overload.
Electric Overload. Thank you, production. Thank you. I think that might be Danny again today. I don't know if they're in control of that, but thank you to them. There you go, Panda. Any thoughts that you wanted to kind of continue on with that?
I don't think we've seen a setup for this Mirage just yet. Obviously, you want to try and go for that Leona 3-star, Nunu 3-star, essentially just letting the tanks do almost all the damage with the right item combinations because of how Electric Overload works out. But I don't think we saw any player that's building towards this just yet. We'll see if in the mid game in stage 3 that changes and actually someone decides to go for Mirage this game as well.
Yeah, because you were speaking actually in the first game, weren't you? Saying about how Electric Overload is the only Mirage that we didn't see, or the one that you kind of wanted to see. So we got it this game, Panda. You got your game in today that you're going to be seeing that. But something I wanted to jump on as well whilst you were discussing that, and we don't actually have his cam at the moment, but that's okay, is Gluteus. Because I love seeing these player cams whenever we get them. And if you're a player that's watching the stream right now, please bring out the cameras. We love to see your facial expressions, your body language. I look at Gluteus and try to pull anything from his disposition, try and see anything in his body language, how he holds himself, his facial expressions, anything to give off how he's feeling with certain shops and plays and whatnot.
Shops like this one, maybe.
Shops like this one, Panda.
Siphon to start things off. You have 2 bruisers in already. You have trainers in as well, though. How are you going to fit in this Siphon? Is Skarner, despite all his hard work in this stage 2, going to be thrown out the window and sold for the Dragon? Instead, it looks like it will be the case. For now, keeping the Skarner on the bench, not having to sell it just yet, not really reaching another econ threshold by doing so. The item's a bit awkward though, having more AP items instead here. Would have loved to have maybe more of the AD items for that Siphon.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll see if Siphon's going to be strong enough in this early game. Siphon's one of those dragons, and I alluded to it earlier in the first game when I mentioned about how, like, Deja, you can get it early, Aoshin, when you get it early, it can feel like, nice, I got a dragon, but 1-star with no items, sometimes those dragons aren't actually as strong early because they just don't get enough combat time. You might have a weak front line and whatnot, but when you look at Siphon, I think Siphon is one of those early stage dragons that actually just does incredibly well.
Not just that, but it's not just you find a Siphon, you put him in, you're already going to win streak all throughout stage 3 guaranteed. It's more the fact that you have to build the hunt, and it works so well because he has that burst, kind of assassin-like, synergy or kit where he just eats off a unit and can heal off of that. And that, at this stage of the game where there isn't that much damage that can burst that Siphon down because of his HP, it might be enough to just have a Siphon dashing around, getting resets, and winning fights basically 1v9.
Yeah. And Clem here choosing the Axiom here, also got Sunfire as their augment. I tell you what, that Heimer is going to be powerful. And we also have chat on the right-hand side of the screen. We got the economy widget again. Thank you, Blitz, GG for that. We get to see the situation of everyone. And one thing sticks out to me, Panda, and it's the 1 gold at level 6, stage 3-2. I'd love to check in with Dicob here and be able to see what's going on with them. Maybe after this round, we can check that out and see how they're doing and what their strategy is. But now we're seeing Siphon back in the action. Tries to charge, gets knocked back. Xiaoyu says, no, not today. Thank you very much, Lulu, with the assist. Now Siphon's going to charge through. Xiaoyu finally lets him pass. Xiaoyu, the bouncer, is dead and done for.
And Siphon trying to get the resets there with Thrill of a Hunt, but other units were stealing the kills every single time. Still manages to barely survive in the end there and win that fight out. Phinphinthao also taking down a few notches. This is now Dicop's board. The player that we saw had only 1 gold, so he's rolled it down. He's playing 3 trainer. He has not even gone on the Heimer 2-star yet. Is this a tough position to be in right now in terms of not really having too much gold to work with?
Yeah, I mean, looking at it, you got a lot of 2-stars, which is good. Especially, I guess, like this early to have pretty much the whole board 2-starred is pretty good. But doesn't have a whole lot of...
this is looking pretty doomed, to be honest. Really, I mean, the Nami 3 is possibly there, but you had Rich Cat Richer, you had a lot of gold to work with, and you didn't really find much of anything at this point. No Dragon, especially, is the biggest problem here, I think.
They might be able to win streak still. They're on a 2 win streak, right? Like, they might do okay for now. Maybe if they can econ back up, they can have a better state, late stage 3, early stage 4. But right now, going up against this Siphon, this is not where you want to be. Dicob wants to continue that win streak to get that econ up and running. But now it's going to come down to Tristana against the Siphon, and I don't like Tristana's odds on this one.
Dicob, despite using up so much gold to really try and stabilize, try and stop the HP he's been bleeding all throughout stages 2 and 3, not able to do so. Doesn't really find the right board, or maybe just having some bad matchups against stronger players right now. Down to 46 HP, tying Texita there at the bottom end of the standings. Texita can maybe pick up this Olaf with the glove. We had a player going Olaf earlier. I'm not sure if it was Texita or not. I'm not sure if you recall, Cyber, but the Nico with a belt, that is really maybe the star of this carousel.
Yeah, don't put me on the spot. I don't remember. No, that's going to be, again, another chat angle. I have a hard time even processing what's going on screen, Panda. So no, I didn't manage actually to catch the Olaf on that one, but I'm sure we'll find out later on. But yeah.
Great pickup here with the Nico.
This
just
is nice.
The upgrade you really needed. You have the chance for the Petikk 2-star that would put you at 5 Jade, and the 6 Jade is on the shop as well with the Anivia, but you have to get out of trainer if you do so. So there's now the problematic angle here. Do you go to 2 trainer, level to 7, and put in 6 Jade? Maybe that's the best choice here.
Yeah, if you do so. And we're going to be seeing who Clem's going to be playing it off against now. So Dicob here, we were talking about them earlier and the position that they're in. Clem's got a really solid board here, even though they don't have any offensive items on their carries at the back line. Tell you what, their frontline carry, Xiaoyu's looking pretty meaty, pretty strong. Bloodthirst is their very strong item on Xiaoyu. And even though it's 1-star, holds on decently well. I think this is going to be a loss for Clem, but it's one of those things you want to conserve as much health as you possibly can. So even just stalling those extra few seconds, maybe killing 1 or 2 additional units can make all the difference.
The problem there was no shapeshifter for the Nico, so it just died way too quickly. The Gnar has not been found, would have maybe been the ideal 6th Jade, and that might have actually forced a transition, putting this Herrick in alongside a Gnar, for example. Nivea, not really going to do much without items. Really, you have the Tristan already dealing maybe enough DPS on that backline.
Absolutely. We're seeing now, so I think actually, it was Texita, right? I remember now with the Cybernetic taking the Olaf, and we can see the scale scorn heart as well to help out there. So absolutely. Panda, why don't you ask me again who was playing Olaf earlier? Because I know who it was.
You answered my question 4 rounds later. I don't think that's a victory. I don't think that's what we should be celebrating.
The answers are live. The questions are pre-recorded. Texita here running the Olaf, got the IE on it. Not yet 2-starred. Level 6 at the moment. Got some good econ, but at what point, Panda, do you cut your losses and say, right, I got a level. I gotta get this Olaf 2-starred up and ready to go?
This is a problem with the Olaf comps. If you're not really able to find something that elevates it from just a normal 4 skill scoring game, either Assassin Olaf, either kind of the 6 skill scoring we saw yesterday in game 1, for example, I think the comp is a little bit too mediocre in most cases.
Yeah.
It involves a little bit too much high roll in some cases of finding your Olaf 3-star. Right now, Texita is very far away from finding these 3-stars. Only has Diana 1 and Olaf 1 on the board still going to stage 4.
I think it's one of those things as well as a mental perception, right? Normally in a lobby, you probably only have 1 scale scorn player. So if they do very well or very poorly, you see it, right? And you're very biased in your opinion on that. Oh, nice Diana pickups, by the way. But when you have compositions like, say, Corky, right? Or Siphons or Jade, where you're going to be seeing maybe 2, 3, 4 of those in a lobby, it's easy to kind of always have a good perception of them because one of them is always going to do well at least, right? Whereas Scale Scorn is very, it's on a precipice where you can absolutely have negative connotations about it. But the Olaf is picked up here for Texita. They got the Dianas as well going on. So it's happening. They started rolling down a bit of gold. They still got some left in the bank. But now let's see what this Diana can do. Ionic Spark, Frozen Heart, a lot better than the Diana we saw last game. And this Olaf here stuck on the front line. But Diana says, don't worry, Olaf. I got this one. And Kiana coming in for the assist on Dicob's backline here. Olaf still going strong. Still dealing out some decent damage, but I think that the true heroes here were Diana and Kiana here, allowing Texita to continue this, continue this win streak. It's not much of one, but it's a lot better than taking a loss right now when you're bottom board.
Unfortunate, no death for the Olaf there. Would have loved to get that little bit of extra AD if you're going to win that fight anyway in that case. Texita now has some options here. Gonna go for that tome. We'll see what he ends up picking up here. I guess only really, Whispers may be possible with Pike later down the line. Maybe Warrior is the only option here. It allows you to slot in the Yasuo as a flex unit and have 4 Warrior by keeping the Shen and the Olaf in, for example. So I think that's really the only angle that Texita can go for here. And it might be okay, playing a 4 skill scoring comp. As I mentioned earlier, you need to have something that distinguishes it just from just the traditional 4 skill scorn. And having Yasuo as a backup carry might be that angle.
Yeah, what about like a Revel Olaf angle or something like that, just anything, desperately trying to make something work. Gonna take the Warrior, gonna fit in 4 Warriors eventually, or I guess you have the option to drop a Warrior, but I don't think you really want to get rid of Shen, right?
No, I think it's just, because Yasuo is such a good flex unit already, if the game's giving you a reason to put him in as well, you can be happy about that and just go for that 4 Warrior instead and get some little bit of extra DPS for the Olaf as well in the process. It is swing carry.
It is swing carry. It's happening, but Gluteus has dropped a little bit of health since we last touched in with them. And, I don't know if I cast a curse them or cast a bless them in the beginning. I don't know which one happened, but Gluteus actually looking pretty strong going into the early stages of stage 4. This Swain looks decent, but there will be a point where Swain starts to fall off unless Gluteus can get that 3-star, I would think. And Xusoo there, in bottom position, but just got a 2-star Corki. Maybe we can check in with them and see how their composition and board is looking and how strong they are at this moment.
And the lobby overall, looking at just the HP totals, it seems pretty even between most of the players, even from Xusoo all the way up to second place Petikk at 50 HP. Not that big of a gap, just 20 HP. But Kevin Parker, to no one's surprise, with that very early siphon, that very early win streak, and the very strong board, is able to maintain that tempo lead, still at 87 HP at this point in the game.
Yeah, Kevin parking himself up at the top of the board for now. We'll see. Yes, I got a panda laugh. Yes, I'll take it. That's the first time that's ever happened. And now we've got Gluteus up against Finn. Again, the double German action here. Only one German can be the victor. I think sometimes Swain can be the last unit standing and can still chunk through 5 enemy units and be fine, and you think it's all over the Swain, but they carry on going. This is not one of those occasions. The Shio U2 very well itemized, and the Anivia just putting out so much damage.
And that's going to be Swain. Unfortunately, he is a super Swain, but against some comps, against some units, he's not going to be able to chew through that much HP in time, especially with Shio Yu having that TC to really disrupt that Swain as well. But looking at the pickups here, it could be a Zoe for players who might need this third mage to slot in alongside Silas and some of the trainer comps we saw earlier. Also with a rod, it means that you can build into this with something like a Morello, for example, with a belt, if you find it on the next PvE round, and still have a very viable secondary carry with the Zoe 2-star possibly.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And something, chat, I know we're going into the later stages of this game, but something I do not want to forget to mention today is at the bottom left of your screen, the widget Grow My Tree. Remember, in fact, actually, if you do !TFT Forest, you can find out more information about that. We are trying to grow some trees, allow our players to touch grass, and help build a brighter future for the world by playing video games, and you can help in that. We are offering a discount via that link, so you can check that out. I know the TFT eggs isn't working today. It's something we tried. We're trying to get it working. It hasn't happened, but please bear with us. It'll be something for the future. So if you do TFT Forest, it should be. That'll come up with more information for you. Back to the game. Xusoo's actually holding the Swains that Gluteus would rather have on their board. And with that Swain being underprivileged here, this Swain and Corki combo is gonna again just delete Gluteus from this round. Gluteus still holding on with a decent amount of health, but things are starting to get tentative, not just for them, but for a few players in this lobby. This is very different from Game 1, Panda, where we had a big disparity between the top 4 and the bottom 2 players. We now have a much more even spread in this bottom 6.
And checking out Kevin Parker, understanding why he has been so strong. It looks like just a really good combination of augments, leaning into those augments with your items as well. Something like Redemption, for example, getting that extra healing from the first aid kit. Zephyr on the front line, but instead now it is the Ornn coming in. And I'm actually surprised he's been doing so well with still a Siphon 1. This board does seem strong, but doesn't look like an 87 HP board at this stage in stage 4.
Yeah, sometimes I get those compositions in games where they're surprisingly strong, and you're like, what is it that's going on for them? But we can check in later. I want to look now at Dicob here on his last life. He's got 8 health left. Is Silas with some interesting Thieves' Gloves items has got to do enough to hold on to allow this Tristana carry at this point, right? Not the Corki that we're looking at for the damage to do its part. And I think this is going to be one of those situations where Swain 1v5s here, and this is going to be Dicob going out. No! Okay, I'm leaving.
Swain is big, but he's not actually a Dragon Cyber. Not enough damage coming in just yet.
Yeah.
I would also get bamboozled as well. Swain did look mighty impressive there, and he actually does have pretty like dragon-like qualities, but only going to do the regular amount of damage from one single unit. And we're still in stage 4, so just barely survives there. Dicob has a chance to maybe get some gold from this next treasure dragon, maybe get some items, and try and spike and try and stabilize just a tiny bit more to try and survive, even just 1 or 2 more rounds to not get an 8th place instead. Maybe going for a 4th or a 5th, because the HP is pretty even at the bottom end of the rankings here.
Yeah, and we've got 2 Dragon Alliance,
Olaf 3.
if I'm wrong. Olaf 3 coming in. Okay, so that is for Texita, correct? So and
Diana 3 as well.
Diana 3 as well. Wow, so Texita, watch them there. They're at 18 HP, but they are going to power spike now. This could be the scale scorn game that we want to see. An homage to yesterday with Tion going scale scorn 6, going deep into it, and having a very successful game. Here's the full warrior as well, getting the Yasuo in. So Texita going to be looking very, very strong as well, but Dicob there in a delicate position, and they are going to be potentially going out in 8th. Maybe we can jump back to them and see this round, see how they perform, and we can check in with Texita in a little bit. Yeah, this is, they've got the Dragon Alliance, correct me if I'm wrong, right? It might be Dragon Alliance, I think, or Dragon Horde, but they don't have multiple dragons here. They just have the Siphon, so maybe not taking the full advantage of that one. It's Dragon Horde, yes.
Dragon Horde, yes. Yeah. And sometimes the case where you don't have enough gold if you pick as a third augment to really transition your board entirely into dragons because of how much they cost and how hard it is to really stabilize if you don't have the 2-star versions of these dragons. But will Corki and Siphon, will this duo be enough to take down the Xiaoyu? Siphon's going to be really close to dying here with the Xiaoyu stun coming in. Corki is still dealing damage. I think the Xiaoyu might not have enough time to actually reach the Corki, but there is a Corki on Xusoo's side as well. And now Corki on Corki action. Xiaoyu gets the final hit, and that will be Dicob getting taken out. Phinphinthao as well in 7th place. 2 players going down in that 5-1 stage.
That was so close, and I wonder, I mean, I'm looking at that board, and this is where, again, it's hard to just know off the top of your head, but I'm looking at that. They got Deja in the shop. Could they have sold the Corki and the Sona, put the items, even had the Morello there, as well as the Giant Slayer, could have put that onto the Deja, have the Dragon Horde active? Could that maybe have been enough? I don't know. That's one of those where you go back, you watch the VOD, and you think, how much DPS potential was there? But now we're going to see Petikk on 10 HP going up against Texita, who is powerful. Here is the diamond hands going to be enough for Petikk to huddle. Yeah, this is going to be a rough one here. Diana is just chomping through the backline, absolutely slicing and dicing. Petikk's going to go down here. They healed up to 12 health, but it's not enough. Goes to -5. They're going to be taking 6th in this lobby.
And that is the power of the Assassins of Diana just deleting the Corki. In this case as well, the Gluteus comp, the Swain comp working out Gluteus, defending his HP now, still at 20, still among those top 3 players. And it's looking pretty close now between 4th and 5th here. Xusoo 6 HP, cannot lose any more fights. Has gold to work with, can level up here, doesn't have that much gold to roll, or no gold to roll actually.
Come on,
after
Haima.
He does. Is it time for Karma just to get the Jade 6? It looks like it is, and that might be what he needed to actually try and spike here. Has okay items on the Xiaoyu. Only one item on Nico, though, might be a problem.
Yeah, this 6 Jade is going to be quite nice, and a nice power boost to Xusoo. But they got a lot of zones to cover. Texita's not going to be going out anytime soon. The next target is Gluteus Maximus on 20 HP. But Clem here with a very strong looking board. This Corki is going to be piling through the Xiaoyu and is going to have enough to send Xusoo out in 5th place. There's our 5th place contender here. Again, Xusoo, what, game 1?
I think it was 5th as well.
5th? So 2 5th place? No, they went 8th game 1 I've got recorded.
Oh no, okay, then never mind. That's much worse position actually.
8th and a 5th. I think that can maybe be confirmed maybe by one of our analysts in the chat there for us. But I think it was 8th first game, so now 5th. Xusoo needs to get a couple firsts in the bag today if they're going to have any chance at contending here for this top 16 to move on to day 3.
Texita picks up a Yasuo. I think that might still be the Yasuo pair. Maybe it's a Yasuo 2 if he hasn't found that upgrade yet. Rageblade, generically, an okay item on pretty much anyone. Attacking faster is going to be good in most cases. Kevin Parker here now still so strong. The HP lead is almost insurmountable for most of these players other than maybe Clemoulahagra, who is not just with 44 HP pretty stable, but also has that win streak. So it's a good sign that he is currently the strongest player in this lobby.
Yes, and I really quick, before I touch on any of those points there, I just want to mention, so Xusoo actually went 6th last game, so my notes are incorrect. So he went 6th last game, and he went 5th this game. So actually not quite as bad as I was mentioning, but still in a delicate position. And now we've got Kevin Parker, as you're mentioning, going up against Texita here. Not the best Zephyr here for Kevin, but what can the Siphon
Olaf
do
on
against
the Siphon immediately deleted, and that's going to be another big loss here. It looks like I don't think this Jinx carry can really do enough at this point, and Heimer definitely won't. Kevin Parker slowly getting his HP shaved off, now going into stage 5, almost into stage 6. Can Texita do it? Can this board with just 4 skill score with that Yasuo as a third carry outside of Diana and Olaf actually maybe make it into the top 2 even of this lobby?
Yeah, we gotta see. There's a couple very, very strong boards here. I don't think Kevin's board is quite as strong as it was earlier, but he's got so much health left in the tank that maybe Gluteus or Texita could go out before him and he can at least clutch a second place. We'll see. Texita and Clem here are going to be very, very hard walls to fight off against. And now it's battle of the bottom here with Texita versus Gluteus. Does Gluteus have anything left? You can see the concern on Gluteus' face. He's just watching this combat very, very delicately. The Swain is boxed in and is getting a lot of contact time here as well. I think Swain has got enough. I was talking about this Swain who can 1v5, and you can see it now. Texita dropping down to 11 health, and that's a little bit of a sigh of relief there from Gluteus.
Such a close one. Yasuo went on to the other side of the board, but even then, Swain did have the QSS, so is going to be protected against CC for the first couple seconds of that fight, and really any fight after that. Giant Slayer, going to be an okay pickup, but unfortunately, you have all 3 of your damage carries fully itemized, so it's going to be hard to get really the maximum value from this Giant Slayer without having a remover to take off something off of the Yasuo, maybe.
Yeah, and Texita here is also in a position where they can level to 8, and then maybe get that other bruiser in, which is, you know, give him 4 bruiser. That'll shore up the comp quite nicely, extra HP across the board. So that's definitely an angle.
Yeah, should definitely work here. Should definitely be what Texita's looking for. That, or just maybe even a strong legendary. But it looks like Silas is going to be the placeholder. Bruiser put in for now. Is there really any other better option? I don't think there is going to be. With the current board that we're seeing here.
Unless they just go for, like you say, like a 5 cost. I mean, you've got Petikk there as an option, but who do you really swap out? I think right now the 4 bruiser is going to be doing a lot of good work.
Kiana's an option, but you want to have a Petikk 2 ideally before you make that switch, and you only have a chance to do so just now. So Shen, Giant Slayer. The first time we see this on the big stage. Could this be the difference maker between who wins this fight? Corki trying his best. The AoE damage to be hitting Diana and Olaf, but I think it's a little bit too late there. He gets double teamed by those 2 skill scorn units, and Siphon, unfortunately,
I don't know.
I don't think he'll be able to do enough.
Charges away, runs from a fight, but Olaf, even without the cav spat, is going to be catching up, Panda.
You know, Siphon always very brave, always looks very scary, but in this case, you know, running away with his tail between his legs. And it's, you know, no surprise. Skill scorn is a trait that does actively counter Siphon to some degree, so maybe there's a reason for that.
Yeah, Scale Scorn, the antithesis of dragons. So, you know, no wonder Siphon is running away there. And Gluteus Maximus goes out in 4th, so another decent game from them. And, going into game 2 of day 1, I think first game they went 6th. They've just gone 4th in this lobby. So they're getting like a decent average score so far in 2 games. They're, not in a difficult position. They're not in an incredible position.
The Siphon just getting hit by Diana's here as well. I think is it going to be enough here? Olaf now already into the back line. Most of these being killed off. The Bard has a great ult stalling out, buying some time for the Siphon. I think maybe Kevin Parker will be okay now. The Olaf surrounded, and the positioning, the clumping, keeping Sona alive until this point. Wait, I did
Olaf
speak
wants
too soon.
this.
Olaf was starting to pop off, but not quite enough. Texita taken down in 3rd. Still, I think a pretty good placement for him. He did not have BIS items. He did not have 6 skills for one of those really crazy skill phone comps outside of just having Yasuo as a 3rd carry, and still manage a top 3.
Yeah, I think that's a decent, you got to be happy with that, right? Getting 3rd with that composition, where you haven't just incredibly high rolled in, as you're saying, into the scale scorns. That's a decent finish, I would say. But now we're coming down to our final 2 here, both on a decent health point. Could go either which way, but Clem coming into this, I believe. No, Clem is not on their massive win streak that they were on before. So Kevin has good odds here. The Zephyr here, I can't actually see which target it hit. I think it was the enemy Sona there. And now Siphon's going to be charging through to that back line. We're going to have Siphon v Siphon, but the thing is, Clem Siphon has backup with the Corki, with the Sona, and that's going to be enough to drop Kevin's health there. That was so many units left alive on the board. Does Clem just outright take this one?
Depending, because there's a lot of fight RNG and positioning involved here. Of course, you have Siphon on either side. You have the Cannoneer comp on either side, with one Kevin Parker slanting a bit more towards AP, with Sona as the main carry, and Clem trying to play more for the more traditional Corki angle. So it depends. If Siphon on either side jumps into that backline and kills off one of the main DPS carries, that fight might go in their favor. So it really is about positioning. It really is about keeping your carry safe here and hoping the opponent isn't able to predict where to place their Siphon in the process.
Oh, couple of Yasuo's got the Yasuo 2-star for Kevin, but he's going to have to sell stuff to make that happen. He does manage to do it, so he gets the Yasuo 2, and now Mage Yasuo, I kind of respect it. I kind of like it. Not something I see often, but hey, that's a lot of potential utility in the bag.
We'll see where the Siphons end up going. That's really what might be deciding who ends up winning this fight. Siphon number 1 almost taken down now, actually, but trying to get a few kills here in the process. Has Thrill of the Hunt, has a first aid kit, but finally taken down by Nevermind, still kept alive, and now it's only one Siphon against the rest of the board. And that will be another big loss for Clem. So it could still be this last fight. 20 HP for Kevin, 12 for Clem. It's looking really close here, Cyber.
Yeah, this is a very close one. This is what you want to see going into game 2, right? We know that today is very important to get into that top 16 if you want to continue on to day 3. So every single point matters. Going the difference between first and second can be the difference between going 17th or 16th overall today. It can come down to that. We've seen it come down to tiebreakers, people on the same amount of points, but just the way that their lobbies went in that given day makes the difference. So this is super important for Kevin and Clem. Actually, a very nice even matchup. Didn't actually see the Zephyr there on that one. Goes on the Heimer, so not the best, but with a good bottle here, I think Kevin's still got enough in the tank. The Siphon charges perfectly onto that Corki here. So Kevin's going to win this one, but I think Clem's still going to have some health left. We got to... Wait.
You called it too soon, I think. It's going to be a battle of the Siphons in the end. 1v1. The healing with first aid kit redemption is favoring Kevin Parker, but will it be enough for just the raw damage?
Charge,
oh,
the
it's
bite.
so close, but it's actually going to be a win for Clem. 12 HP for him. Kevin now down to 8. The Siphon, I'm not going to say RNG, but there is a little bit of RNG in where it ends up dashing. Not just the first dash, which you can predict and you can position for, but all the dashes that come in after that are a little bit more on the side of RNG.
Yes, there's definitely a position angle that you can make to try and coax your Siphon into the right charging angles, but it doesn't all, you can't have it with 100% certainty. But I think it's decent because Siphon's such a strong unit. Even if they charge the wrong way, chances are they're still doing a really good job. And yeah, going to be having this nice little PvE round, to stall things out that little bit more and give these players that last couple rounds to shore up their comps, make any changes they might want to see. We saw yesterday in some of the final stages of Game 4 where I think it was Kai'Sa was able to swap out their front line, go for that Shyvana, go for the Nico as well, get the shapeshifter in, and that front line was just made all the difference. So we'll see what they can do here going into this final round.
The Zoe has been put in. The items have been transferred to Mage Spat Yasuo 2, which could be a difference maker in terms of how he's able to stall out fights and now can do a little bit more damage. Once again, the Heimer gets hit by Zephyr, so not ideal on the side of Kevin Parker. Sona almost taken down by just the extra damage around the sides. It's flying in from the other side of the board. The other Sona still stays alive. Now the Sona on Sona action continues. Siphon taken down on the side of Kevin Parker, and that will be game over. Clemou, the French player, ends up taking this lobby. The Siphon battle at the end, exciting, but Kevin Parker, despite the great win streak lead at the very beginning, not able to win the lobby out. Very similar game, actually.